We're live.
Woohoo! All right, welcome everyone to User Feedback team meeting. Okay, we were talking about the promises survey and how we're doing getting that ready for final production. Joe Seppi is not able to join us, and Tracy was going to give us a quick update to see if
No, we're last update for us, and this was December 6th, was we're just still waiting for the promises survey to be created.
Right.
I know with holidays things were a little bit crazy, but that's kind of where we're at. Just
cool.
For us, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we have action items to take it over once.
Yeah, it's right. Okay, yeah. So the ball continues to be in Joe's court, and we'll, I guess, Tracy, just to manage expectation for you and your team. At this point, I guess reprieve until after the holidays.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just call it, and I don't want you to be waiting for something that's blocked on our end to sort of carry forward.
Stressed out about it. Yeah.
Good. So right now, that was we wanted to review that today. That was the main thing I was planning on.
We also have, I don't know if we want to go through the issues on the agenda.
The enterprise group.
Yeah, I can give an update on that. I've actually fallen behind on setting up a date for January for a follow-up action, but the action item from the promise feedback and a newsletter thing is one of those quick things that we want to achieve, like having a call to action, for the enterprise user group. So waiting on that survey, whether or not we're going to send it so we can make that very first action item.
Another thing is, weren't we thinking about moving this meeting?
All backed up after that one key topic. Sorry, Tracy, I missed that.
No, sorry. Weren't we planning on moving this meeting as well?
So this meeting, no.
Okay. I thought we were moving both your meetings, the mentorship and the user feedback one, to like a different time, but
no. Individual membership is the one that the individual membership was the one that I needed to to hand off, and I did. The Monday meeting is a non-starter for my. Still works great for me. That said, with the enterprise group, we have been scheduling those meetings at basically at Ahmed's convenience.
Oh no, Dan, you're really cutting out.
Yeah. I was wondering if it was me or
Eastern
him.
time is Thursday.
We didn't get any of that, but I guess goal is conclusion is we will not be moving the mentorship or user feedback meeting. So got that. No worries.
Oh shoot, sorry about that.
Okay. Is there any we can hear you now. Is there anything we can do on the foundation side to I know we've always talked about promoting the user feedback meetings and stuff like that. Is there any additional like, should we write a blog post about this? Would it be maybe good to work with I don't know if Ahmed, you have time, but just like, hey, here's why we do this, and here's how you can get involved type deal. Would that be helpful? Maybe, no.
Ahmed, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'll let Ahmed figure out getting off mute. I've got opinions, but let's let Ahmed speak for himself.
Yeah, I like the idea of a blog post. Timing is a question. Are you thinking of like close date publishing or future date publishing? Because we can work on something now and publish it in the new year.
Yeah, definitely. This is all New Year's.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything now.
Holidays. Okay, so I'll like Dan and Michael, do you guys have any opinions about like what the blog post should be or whatever? I mean, we have been starting to promote more on the on Twitter as well. I don't know if you've seen us starting to promote the working groups and everything.
Yeah, I saw that. It's nice.
I think that a general one just on the user feedback group in general wouldn't hurt. Like, here's a reminder, here's the 3 main areas we're working, and then, you know, one specific to the enterprise one as well would make sense.
Yeah, I think that's the right call, Michael. You know, starting with you know, sharing the context of what we're doing at a macro level is, you know, is sane. You know, then you know, I think there's a great call to action that we have with the work that Ahmed's been doing to pull together a contingent of large deployments and begin you know, exploring some you know, in the network testing inside of our deployments. And you know, what we want from there is more visibility and more contribution. But without the sort of setup of you know, user feedback in Node, I think that is going to be less impactful.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had anything, so I think a reminder is, and it's a good, you know, start off the new year. Hey, let's talk about, maybe we can talk about what we did last year, and here's what, you know, we hope to do next year, and then it's a good setup for the one that says, oh yeah, and here's something specific, and hey, can you get involved in this?
So it sounds like I was going to say the exact same suggestion, but it sounds like we need a bit of a coordination and a schedule of what comes first.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd want to, you know, I guess it's when do we want to target the first one and the second one, right? Like, I could see a week between them. It doesn't have to be a huge gap, I don't think, but we probably get more impact if there's a bit of a, you know, like a 1 week or something. Yeah,
Ahmed, I would recommend for you that, you know, maybe we get the January meeting lined up and scheduled and reconvened, and make sure we have, you know, continue to have the momentum with that group, that you know, sort of initial group there, and then publish that. So, you know, I'd like to sort of throw out maybe the week of the 14th to the 15th for the user feedback blog. And then, you know, probably beginning of February for the enterprise.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll start with
makes sense to me.
Where we get, but basically we'll pace them out. We'll be like, okay, let's do user feedback blog post for the 14th. Second is beginning of February doing the enterprise blog, but publish in that order. And then I have a note as well to talk to Ahmed about feature and kind of what you're doing, Ahmed, and then doing some tweets about generally what you're doing. I'll wait for the tweets until we get the blog post because it'll give us a little bit more content and context. But yeah, it'll be good to start getting more people involved in this.
Do we have any existing prior art or structure on blog posting in terms of language, format, tone, those kind of things?
I can start one, and maybe you can.
Is that bell for everybody?
No, it's
that just me?
Yeah, we're hearing the bell.
Sorry, it's me.
Okay. Hey, stop.
Somebody raising their hand. It's a little thing. No. Actually, Dan and Michael, I don't know if there's any prior art that you.
I haven't seen any, so. All I was going to say is you could look at the past articles published by the Foundation Medium post.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea to have something, but Nobody's ever said to me, "Oh, here's some things to follow."
What was the collaboration between Zibby and Tierney?
I mean,
Medium something or other.
Like the way
collections.
Collections is different, but
I think there might be some outline recommendations attached to that.
Well, I think what I'll do is I'll start a blog post, and then Ahmed, you and I can work on the content together, but that way you have a structure format. So yeah, don't stress about, actually I'll start a Google Doc right now and we could just.
Yeah, all good. I was just thinking if there are any content standards or likewise it would be useful, but we can make one if there isn't.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Zibby did a great sort of post-mortem and handoff. I don't know if in that there was anything like capturing that.
Yeah, I'll talk to Rachel about it and see if there's anything.
Right on. Node.js collection. There it is. Node.js collection. So, Michael, to your point on the agenda, those are standing agenda items.
I think at least one of them we can deal with.
Okay.
Like the upgrading problems, can we help? My suggestion is we actually transfer that to the package maintenance repo.
Nice. I love it.
Make sense to people?
No. Why would package maintenance be focused on user upgrade problems?
Because that's one of the reasons.
Its focus is on Node, right? Not on the
well, it's right, but it's one of the areas, one of the reasons why the Node community itself and hence the project under Node.js is interested in the package maintenance problem is it does slow Node upgrades.
Sure.
So one of the things we're looking to understand is like, okay, what causes those packages not to be upgraded, and what can that team do to help avoid that, right? So it's like, is it that the packages are abandoned and that's the problem, or is it that they just don't happen fast enough? But it is one of the sort of key reasons, at least in my mind, that the package ecosystem is great, but if there's issues that are slowing down adoption of new versions of Node, that's something we want to have people working on, and it fits with the work that the package maintenance team is focused on. So, and that issue actually arose because I was talking to Matteo about that package maintenance initiative before we, were ready to put out the blog post and all that. And we said, well, in the meantime, let's open this issue because we'd had some people talking on Twitter about problems.
Okay.
And at that point we said, hey, if user feedback fits, like, I don't mind if we keep it. I just think my opinion is that it's probably will get more attention in the package maintenance side of things.
Got it. So I'm again, I'm not sure I disagree. I'm not sure I agree with the concept of transferring this discussion. So what I think is a great outcome is, let's resolve this issue. So this issue was created, in user feedback because we needed a place across the project to figure out, how to handle this this need. Now we have a resolution of that in package maintenance for a portion of the problem, right? So in package maintenance, we can say here that since one of the key issues that folks are having, with upgrading is package maintenance, we've created this group, package maintenance, and we're going to be focusing on streamlining that part of the problem. And I think we're almost saying the same thing, but I do think that the concept is not fully satisfied of how do we help the end user community when it's time to upgrade, with that story. I don't think that is in line with the mandate of package maintenance yet.
Okay. I just thought it was. I don't mind leaving it open then. What's our next step then? Is
my suggestion is close it
for a while.
Okay, yeah, close it, and and direct folks to that resolution that you're saying. But I don't know that I'm comfortable saying that we've we've solved the whole problem, right? The seed of why you and Matteo were having this conversation is has been really distilled down, and we now have a technical place to deal with the package side of things. But I still don't think we have a committee or a group of folks. For example, the work that Ahmed is doing in working with our other enterprise partners in running current ahead of release on enterprise infrastructure goes to address this problem. Right. So let's take from this issue and direct towards the solutions that we're landing. And I'm totally comfortable with you sort of closing out this issue with an invitation to folks to join and participate in in package maintenance.
I mean, I think the net result, like the reason I was thinking is that, like, if you read these, some of the questions we'd like to float to the community, what challenges do you have when you upgrade? Have all the modules dependent been updated? Which specific modules do you have problems with when upgrading? Are there ones that are preventing you from upgrading to 10? And then, are you a maintainer that's overwhelmed and not able to update your modules anymore? So if we close this, I'm almost thinking we'll have to open one that has the exact same questions in the other repo.
Okay.
Because those are questions that are still relevant to that sort of initiative.
Okay.
But I'm, I don't think it's really a big deal one way or the other. I can, either we can do, there's a beta transfer, like there's a transfer issue, or we can close and open something new. So I'm not going to argue strongly.
Right. Yeah. I don't think, just moving around an issue, in my opinion, doesn't follow the path of least surprise. We're having the discussion in user feedback. Let's move that discussion on to package maintenance and engage folks there. But I guess we have that capability now in GitHub, but I'm not comfortable with just moving around issues.
So I'll just open a new issue that says
and direct folks to that.
Here are the questions, and then here we can close this one pointing to that one. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll do that for that one anyway. So I thought that's one we could cover. The survey for stronger typing, if we had any more.
No. So the push right now is to get the one survey out the door, which is the most complete in the promises survey. And that's kind of the whole survey process kind of backed up behind that.
Okay, so that's still because I'm still interested in that.
Absolutely,
just looking at what's
those are all relevant. But what we worked out is that Tracy and her team's going to help with the logistics once we have the questions complete. Today we were planning on reviewing those promises questions and kind of closing that out to hand that off to Tracy and team. And we're just gonna have to push that out, and at this point we'll push it out to January.
Yeah. So we talked about 77, which is on. The other one is the evolving our user feedback hosting an online JS meetup. I guess that's something. I mean, I don't think we're going to solve that now, but that's probably regroup early in January and figure out what to do there, because I think we just basically got stalled because Meetup kind of said no, right?
Well, Meetup said no, and I started a new job, and my bandwidth to be able to go and organize all that dipped significantly, and honestly, that needs to be built out as a whole program that we can actually continue to support. And for me, the carrying that and setting up all the logistics for all the things that go into organizing those meetups, right now is a non-starter.
Right. So I wonder if maybe that's something we could rely on Tracy for. Tracy or a group, like, or find another volunteer, right? Like we have the don't do anything, find another volunteer, or, if you think you're going to have time later on, wait until then, right?
I mean, Tracy, what do you think, is that something that you'd want to take on? Is that something that maybe we could, flow in or contribute into, the contributor days work that you've done with other communities?
Don't get mad, but tell me what I'm volunteering for again.
Actually, I'm trying not to volunteer you for a net new thing. I'm trying to say, that we have this, concept of like, how do we pull together a general user, around Node and really, present the community with something that stimulates discussion and then allows them to draw in feedback and
questions that Michael just said, right? Like all these, like, what issues are you having? What would be easier?
No, it's different from that. It's like we started off the general user feedback by saying, let's get together people who are not tightly connected to the community, but who are willing to come and discuss regularly about issues that they have using Node. So trying to get the end user feedback, and we've branched into a few ones where we have a specific focus. Ahmed's leading a specific focus on enterprise users, and we had a specific focus on tooling issues, right?
Right. And I think tooling may have come out of our general discussion, right?
Right.
So, we're able to, in that general discussion, find an acute pain point, and then, we were able to deep dive into tooling, and we actually formed a group around it.
Exactly. And so that's an example of how it's useful. The challenge we faced, though, was that we felt that our standard, GitHub, Twitter communication channels wasn't necessarily the best way to get those general users. So we pivoted to try and do a meetup, because we figured, hey, there's a structure that already exists. They're really good at reminding people to come every month. It'll hit a broader audience. Unfortunately, the meetup community decided they didn't like online or virtual meetups.
Yeah, meetup killed anything online.
So we had one,
and we
ended up getting, I don't know, it was like 40 or 50 people signing up to the meetup. Not all of them came to the meetup, but I think if it had kept going, we probably would have had a larger group. So, but now we're kind of at the point of like, okay, how we've tried a couple things. What's the next thing we should try to do that? And it does take some effort, because we need to like organize. Meetup was probably going to be good because it does a lot of the organization for you, but in the absence of that, it's kind of like, what else do we do instead? And then there's the issue of lining up people to come and.
Well, okay, so when we say like, general user feedback, right? Do we mean, hey, let's talk about, let's talk to like these specific projects that are using it that we know, or is it like, hey, this is just some random person using Node, right? Like,
I think, the general one is we want more feedback. I don't have, like, in my mind, a good way to sort of quantify it down to, I think what you just mentioned, that, one way to drive that is to say, well, we're going to go to reach out to specific large projects we use. No, that's one way to get that feedback. Trying to get classes of users who, I don't know if you use Node in a particular way, and finding their meetups or something, but like we haven't limited it to any particular one, but we want to be able to get all the kind of feedback. And
yeah, like so one way, I mean, I don't so let's not worry about forum yet in terms of how we do it. But if we just talk about what would probably be useful is, hey, let's find like XYZ number of people, or get feedback from ComCom TSC on who are the interesting projects using Node, big and small. Let's all gather them together in a group, and let's get I don't know who, maybe it's this group of leaders, or maybe it's TSC, to kind of like sit there for 1 hour, probably 2 hours, to listen through all these things to generate feedback based on that. Like
that kind of thing. Another one that comes to mind is, as we do a new release, it could be like a month after, you could say, anybody who's been trying to upgrade to this new release and has feedback for us, come to this session, and we'll have people there to listen and discuss. And it's trying to find a way that we can get feedback that will help inform what we should be doing, or understand where people are having problems so we can work on those.
I think there's a couple of different values we can do, and different kind of formats you can drive, maybe even different types of meetups you can do with the public. But I think we're still stuck at the how do we do this, regardless of what's the format that we'll do, right?
I mean, no, this is not difficult to put together.
Fair. I was just saying in the context of like meetup.com not doing it, not allowing it, right?
I definitely think it should just be like I don't know. I think it should be something where it's like whether it's another meeting or whether it's this meeting but like extended. So after every release, like this specific user feedback meeting just gets a lot bigger, and we invite like more people to it.
That's what we did.
Yeah,
we did do that in the beginning. Our only concern was is limiting it to sort of the GitHub and Twitter promotion getting to a broad enough audience.
So all you need really is kind of a little bit more thought around getting it to a broader audience, which I think is fine. Like, for example, we can send it out into the newsletter. Again, we can ask TSCM ComCom, and they'll be like, oh, here's this random person that bugs me all the time. They're just using it randomly here. And then also opening it to the public and maybe asking people to share. So just having a little bit more of a coordinated marketing strategy, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was a lot around the marketing where we were,
Yeah, and then in addition to that, being a little bit more deliberate about inviting people, right? So like, hey, okay, every time we do a release, let's invite these 20 people like officially, and let's actually make this quite like more like an official thing.
Right. Yeah, we certainly started out by like trying to find people who were interested in like not just a one-time interaction, but a multiple-time interaction if possible.
So what is the next?
Sorry, Dan. I just want to quickly jump in. We had a quick discussion last time we talked about this, of involving local meetup groups in different cities. And I'm coming back to that point now because we can also ask them to be the one to organize and message and communicate. Like if we pick, 5 or 6 different cities from different countries and ask the local JavaScript and Node.js organizers there, because there are huge communities that are organized per city. Hey, Toronto JS meetup group, can you do the February, public official thing? Here's the guidelines that we will provide. They will be the one to go out, get people involved, and have a physical presence. They'll probably book a space that they be in. They'll probably have this streaming set up ready for people. We just have to provide them the guidelines. So it's less effort for the core team members here to do something, but also it's a more direct call to action with an existing community, and we can rotate it across different cities.
Right. And then one of us, or one or more of us from this team would participate and hopefully even pull in, say, TSC members virtually, hopefully, or do you think that's a reasonable?
So like one thing so we could do that. To me, that sounds like a lot more work, because you're like, maybe I like to have control, but you're not in control, of what exactly is going to happen. One thing that might be similar would be, hey, let's let's host it online, but let's reach out to, 5 Node, whatever. And we say like, okay, in partnership with, Node Meetup Toronto, SF, blah, 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 etc. And just have them live stream this meeting and kind of like be there. And, they can turn on their video and stuff like that so we can see the people, but at least that way they can like be involved and, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I think that's what I was kind of pointing to. Like, we still do what we do, but let other meetups worry about a general public call to action. Yeah. Meaning, if they already have a community, they already have a thing, they just let them do it and say, "Hey, we're streaming the user feedback, and SFT or SF JavaScript group, and we're gonna allow some sort of interaction of some."
Yeah, the key thing for me is we make sure people can ask questions. Like, I don't want us to just end up talking, because we already can do that, right? We want to get other people talking.
Yeah, so that we actually did this with, Ember meetups were so small and not in larger cities. And so I would just do like East Coast and be like, okay, all 5 meetups are doing this exactly at the same time. And we kick off in one place, do like a kickoff talk with a bigger person or stream that first talk. And then the meetups will go like into their own respective meetups. If we're doing that though, so here's the thing, right? Like, how much time do you actually need to get productive conversation going? Because watching a stream for 2 hours is a little bit intense.
Yeah, and it's, we don't want people watching, we want people talking, and it's so like if it's at a meetup, we want to make sure there's a microphone where people can easily get up and talk into it. Otherwise, I prefer people at their desks with microphones where they can easily talk, right?
Yeah. It might be better that way, because I'm trying to think as well, like, okay, you do a kickoff session, let's say online with these 5 meetups, and then you give them like a kind of guidelines, as Ahmed was saying, to say like, okay, well, here, facilitate this conversation, but then like nobody from, the user feedback or TSC is kind of participating in that, and then they get feedback later. Like, that could be another way of doing it.
I like, though, the original idea, I think, which was to rotate them, right? Like, to try and say, okay, hey, meet up in place X. Are you interested in running one of these sessions? So most of the people will be in the location. And I was just sort of asking we thought, getting people from the user feedback there for every session might be a challenge, but if we could participate effectively virtually, then that would, and we could do whatever number a year makes sense. Like, if it's 2, it's 2. If it's more,
So it's just so different with a 100-person meetup versus like a 10-person meetup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a 10-person meetup, that works really well. That format works really well.
Yep.
But it's like impact as well, right? Like how, if you want to do it in, New York or SF, then participating remotely may not be the most amazing thing ever, because the remote person is just not going to hear all the things that are being said potentially.
Right, and that that group is used to always getting high quality speakers, local speakers.
Yeah, I would hope the hook would be not the talk, but the ability to impact what's going on.
So, I'd like to, propose that, I really like engaging our meetup groups and seeing how they can participate. I think we still need to, basically tease out our format.
Right.
And then once we have the format, we can distribute it. So, if we go back to that, moment in time of purpose, which is, engaging groups like the enterprise group, and like our active groups, the package maintenance group, and that could be a core contingent, for perhaps the tooling group as well, but have it focused around a general interest topic, like what's coming up. 12. When's the 12 release, Michael?
It's April-ish.
So if we plan now for April and the 12 release to do this user feedback session on 12, that seems like we got nice amount of lead time. We can promote it. We can potentially draw in some content. So Tracy, one of the key things that my conjecture in transitioning this to a meetup format is that we needed some content for general users to prioritize their time to show up if they don't have like at the top of mind something that they're completely raging on.
Well, yeah, okay, but so let's get. So if we do this at meetups, is it going to accomplish like the greater goal? Like you're looking for, I mean, what are you looking for, right? Like, are you looking for, hey, a handful of people in, San Francisco, New York, Des Moines, whatever, to give feedback on a specific release? Or are you looking for, hey, let's just get everyone globally to be able to give feedback in a forum that is a little bit more open to everybody?
But I think it's
I think we need the first one.
I'm even like stepping back and just saying we want to get more feedback on pain points, or
Yeah, that's the net purpose.
The net purpose is to get a more general. We've got a more tight connection now with some enterprise companies, so we can sort of but from the general groups using Node, I think we could do with a better understanding of what is it that they're loving and what is it that they're hating.
And it's really what we're looking for is unknowns, unknown unknowns. Like we don't know that what we're looking for, but we're explicitly wanting to put ourselves out there and provide a forum for folks where they know if they're having issues, they can go connect with peers and humans from the Node.js project.
Yeah. So a concrete example is that I heard from one individual that in terms of our LTS, they think that we haven't got the balance between stability and new features right.
But why don't we, like, if this is the goal, right, then why don't we just say, hey, TSC members, ComCon members, whatever, like, okay, every month, one person is going to go do this user feedbacky thing at a local meetup, and we're not even, maybe we'll stream that in general, but it's like, Michael, okay, you're going to do the one in Toronto, and, Dan, you're going to do the one in SF, and then you guys are going to gather feedback and like present it here. Like that seems a little bit more like
right. So I think that's one of the models that I mean, that's kind of what I thought Ahmad was suggesting, was that we try and hold a session in existing meetups.
Yeah. Okay. So like basically then it's really getting, whoever members to commit to like, okay, I'm going to do one in my city. And then maybe we do it like, in the month of April, and we do like 12 of them. And I mean, TSC ComCon members are everywhere. So we can just be like, join the local user feedback, whatever. We're doing this in April. Okay, here are all the ones that you can attend if it's in your city, kind of like that.
Right. I'm not sure we'll get all the TSC and members volunteering, but I think it's like if we could figure out, if we think that's a good format, and then we have we could at least test it out in a few of them. Like I think we should probably, our team should probably be involved in the first couple, the user feedback team, to say, okay, we did this, it didn't work, or it did work. Mm-hmm. And then once we have a pattern that we think is working, we can probably get other people to.
Just to ground it in a measurable kind of output or outcome. Like Tracy was asking the right questions, like what's the goal here? What's the actual goal? And like, I get what Dan is saying is like, there's unknown unknowns, which I think we all understand what that means, but we don't know what that means because they're unknowns. but like what I'm hearing is perhaps a concrete goal that we can then message clearly back to the TSC members and user feedback members so that they actually know what they're supposed to be getting out of it, or what are they supposed to bring back out of these type of interactions, is like a phrase around the frame that we want to deliver. And I think maybe, like, to articulate it in my own words, it's actually more like the delegation and or kind of intake organization of questions, feedback, topics that might come up, because we already have these things already. We have the GitHub projects, we have the multiple ways in which the public can contribute and provide feedback, but it just seems that people don't know or don't have the visibility into it. So by virtue of doing these kind of connection with meetups or humans in different cities and so on, we're basically doing the orchestration of the inbound kind of thoughts, questions, feedback, and so sort of thing. So maybe it's just the statement is, connecting with the physical communities or the communities that have physical meetups, let's say, in order to enlighten and direct the traffic of questions and feedback to the right place, because the right places exist. It's not like we don't have those right places already.
So providing places where people can get involved. So, the other thing is, everybody who goes to these meetups as representatives will basically have like a one-page sheet of like, hey, here's all the things. We could, if we all had time, also just provide a PowerPoint to kind of be like, okay, here's the talking points, here's the things we want to talk about. That way it's not like, oh, wow, this person in New York facilitated this completely differently than this person in San Francisco.
Yeah, and it could be as simple as, hey, did you all know we have a package maintenance working group? Hey, did you know we have this? Hey, by the way, here's all the projects that are ongoing. Here's all the committees that are ongoing. Here's how you can contribute. Here's how you can be there. But being that physical connection in smaller context, in a more intimate context, is much more easier to get that interaction and call to action than, say, the Node.js conference or some conference that happens in a certain city that everybody who can travel can attend, but local people are not aware of.
So I still think we'd want to throw open, like, I can see that being a really good intro. I think it would be good to throw open then to either the abstract, okay, so tell me about what your problems are so we can understand them. And I also think that the general one is good just to throw out there because you might get the unknowns. If we can have some specific focus as well. So for example, I wouldn't do it right after 12 has come out, but I'd wait a month or so. And then you could have specific questions if you're doing it, say, a month after 12 has come out, where you could say, do you have any specific issues with 12? Is there anything holding you back from upgrading to 12? And there's probably other events like that we can use. And some of the things we're talking about, like if we're going to do a survey on promises, maybe that's a good topic to lean into, to get the survey gives you one sort of flavor of feedback, but you'll get a different flavor doing that as an in-person kind of thing too.
Yeah, those are, in my head, those are the questions we would expect whoever attends and kind of facilitates those things to do. But let's be careful not to make it so that people are then directing all their feedback to the person. The person should then say, great, what is your feedback on 12? Cool. Oh, you had a problem. Great. Here, go here and type it there, or go here and message it there, or do this here, in order for that information to be meaningful. Otherwise, everybody who might be attending, let's say, a meetup, are going to be expecting that person to follow through or deliver something.
I like that. And it's maybe like, can we open the issue together right now, which captures that?
Exactly.
And then, hey, the rest of you, if you all just agreed with that, please comment. And
well, come on, nobody's gonna do it is the problem.
You don't think people, like, in the meeting, they won't be willing to pull out their laptop? And there is that
Thank you, Tracy.
Like, sure, fine. I mean, maybe. Okay, so like, let's say, when I talk about RxJS and I say like, come contribute, out of 500 people, maybe like 3 will actually follow up on that, right? So I think that I think what we should do is somehow make it easier, like set up a survey, or even, I'll tell you that, like, if you really want like 99% feedback, just giving people a piece of paper and a pen is like the easiest way we're
right. Yeah.
Right. So we can think about that, but we definitely need to think about like what's the avenue. So not just pointing people because it will literally never happen, but like how do we actually get the feedback? Okay, so.
Yeah, no, I was like, if it was going to work, you have to get them to do it right then and there.
Yes.
Right. It's kind of like you said, okay, so you just told me you had a problem upgrading. Could we open an issue right now? And, you know.
Yeah, like have the person facilitating that meeting open issues immediately.
Yeah, either them open the issue or have, even better if they could somehow, you know, coerce the person who mentioned it to open the issue.
Or have like a person designated. Like
yeah, true. That's right. So, yep.
Designated to open issues. So.
Or maybe we have an issue open, but I take the point of we want to. It's the balance between, it's part of what we can do is make it easier. The other part is we do want to encourage people to be more comfortable with the existing channels.
Yes. And
I
think
it's worth pushing on that.
Yeah, I think by just saying that though, I think it like, by saying that and showing like, hey, here's where we're doing it, or like, hey, here's where the issue is and here's where I've opened it and stuff like that. And maybe even like that person, you know, as they're presenting, sharing their screen and showing the opening of issues would actually be really good.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's like showing people seeing it happen, I think will unlock some people. So
okay.
I would just comment on I fully agree, Tracy. Like it's not easy, it's hard, and getting people to contribute. I would also say there's a balance on how much upfront work and prep one would have to do in order to get certain outcome versus, you know, having a little bit of blind trust, let's say, in somebody actually stepping up and showing a better example, because we can always pre-design things to what we think is a better format might be. And then at the end, people will subvert those expectations or make something better. I might be just more optimistic and saying, let's just do it and see what people do with it. You might be surprised or we might be disappointed, but either way, you know, I think I would rather put it this way. I would rather do these kind of activities and do these efforts and only get like the 1% of people who would really step up and get above and beyond, because those would eventually have a higher return on value, let's say, and then doing a lot of upfront work and getting, you know, I don't want to say mediocre, but kind of medium level of impact or return on investment, let's say.
Right. Or perhaps stalling out because it's too much work.
Right.
Right. So I'd agree with like, it's worth doing.
VC strategy. Let's do it.
I mean, so I mean, you know, maybe our goal is like, let's try and do one and see how it goes. Like we've tried a couple, you know, we tried the one way, we tried the meetup way. Let's try one of these and see what we think.
One. We should do like, I mean, if we're going to spend this much time and energy on it, we might as well roll it out to a few.
I just meant to, I didn't mean to stop at one.
Yeah.
It's like, let's figure out and do one without worrying too much about, you know,
structure and like what worked well and what didn't. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to slate this for May then. Is that right?
Well, I don't think I'd wait that long.
Okay. So like March, we're waiting till after the release. But
like I think that's one point where one would make sense. But like if there's an active meetup somewhere that we think is a good candidate, you know, I don't know why we wouldn't talk to them and say, is this of any interest?
Yeah.
And then if there's a time that makes sense for them, figure out if we think we have got content to do it.
Yeah. And I think also doing a little bit of marketing around it is going to help others get excited about it.
Yeah.
So then other people will be like, ooh, I want to run one too. I wonder if we have a list of, I'm sure we do, like a list of Node meetups. So I'll check for a list of Node meetups from if Zippy has one somewhere. Okay.
That's a good thing. We should probably make that list if it doesn't exist and make it public.
Oh yeah, I'm so surprised that it's not. I'll ask Adam if he's adding that to the new website, because I'm surprised if it's not something.
Yeah, it would be good if there's an easy place to add your meetup, right, to the list.
anyways, okay. Well, anyways, I'll think about this a little bit more and then get things going. I mean, again, it's not like we can't just do, you know, Dan, we can do it in SF, obviously. We can do it in, I mean, I'm sure we all know our local meetups, so. And I asked Adam about the list of meetups, but I think that would be really helpful for people. And then the Israel Tel Aviv meetup as well is probably interested too.
I doubt it would be too hard to find an interested meetup, to be honest. I suspect often they're looking for content.
Yeah. And I'm slating it for March because we'll start contacting them in January and they're going to need a few months to actually get everything organized.
Yeah, and to give us some time to publicize and figure, that seems reasonable to me.
Okay. I think we're at time.
Yep. Okay. Well, everybody have a good holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And yeah, thanks. That was great. I'm stoked about this. Yeah, that lane is, you know, my sweet spot. The survey orchestration stuff. You know, still looking to see how we can bring those surveys under you know, 6 months from idea to completion.
Yeah, makes sense. I think though you know, my take is the part we've been blocked on is forming the questions, not executing on getting them out there, right?
Right. Well, getting the right questions is hard in surveys, and it's just a lot of back and forth.
Absolutely.
And, right.
So, but that's sort of my point. Is like, it's not like the I don't think the working groups are like hammering us over the head saying, hey, you're not getting these out fast enough. I think it's just that the working groups are having a challenge working through coming up with the questions they think are correct. And so if we can help working groups better figure out their questions, that's great. But I was just saying it's not the technical execution part that's the problem.
Oh, absolutely not. Right. Yep, for sure. Alrighty.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Talk
good one.
to everybody later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.